Ever wondered why your hammock just doesn't feel quite right, even though you've got your straps dialed in perfectly? It could be because of one very small but super important item, and that is your ridge line. If this item right here, your ridge line, is not the right length, then you're probably experiencing poor sleep while sleeping in a hammock in the backcountry. Fortunately, figuring out the right length for your ridge line so that you can have a better night's sleep in your hammock is super simple. Let's dive in and I'll show you how. So what is a ridge line? A ridge line is a rope or a piece of amsteel, something like that, that attaches to each end of the hammock, and it kind of gives it structure. It maintains the sag in it, and it also helps to take some stress off of your hammock so you don't pull your hammock out too tight. Step number one is to grab a tape measure and measure the length of your hammock. If you already know that, then that's great. But sometimes they do differ. Even if you get an 11-foot hammock, it might be a little longer, a little bit shorter, and that's going to be key to being able to dial in the length of your ridgeline and getting that ridgeline perfect. It's much easier if you have two people, but you can do it with one. I'm just going to go like this and hold the tape measure where I am and kind of walk across. So my hammock here is 10 feet 6 inches long. That is very important. I thought this was an 11-foot hammock, but I only measured 10 feet 6 inches, so 6 inches is quite a bit. I am going to go ahead and lower my hammock now. Looks ridiculous up there like that. I've only raised it that high and made it tight so that I could measure from end to end and get the correct length of the hammock. I would suggest laying your hammock out on the ground at home, laying a tape measure out next to it and measuring it that way rather than doing it like I did. I just did it out here because I'm filming this video and I wanted to show you all the steps of this. So, but yeah, doing it at home is going to be 10 times easier. But then when you do test it, you want to be out in a place where you can actually hang your hammock, whether that's in your backyard, at a park, or in the mountains or whatever. But I would say test it before you get out there so you're not playing this game, and you can adjust your ridge line before. Now that my hammock's put back into a normal position, I'm going to go ahead and reconnect the ridge line. These mosquitoes out here are insane right now. I've got bug spray on and everything, and they're still swarming. Now that I've got my ridge line hooked back up to my hammock, I want to calculate the correct length of this ridge line for the 10-foot 6-inch hammock that I'm using right now. A good rule of thumb for calculating that is to calculate 83% of the length of your hammock. So let's go ahead and do that. So I've got 126 times 0.83, and that gives me 104.58 inches. So 104 and a half or 105 inches. You could go 104 or 105 or right at 104 and a half, but that's going to give you a pretty good starting point. And then of course you want to lay in your hammock and you want to adjust it a little bit more just to see, you know, if it needs to be a little longer or a little shorter. But that's kind of the game you play, and that's why I would say do it at home and figure it out as much as you can before you get into the mountains. So let's go ahead and do that. I've got my tape measure and I'm going to go ahead and measure the length of this ridge line as it is right now and see where we are. I'm right at 105, just barely below 105. So that's pretty perfect for the length that I calculated, 104 and a half inches. Now that my ridge line is set to the right length, about 104 and a half, 105 inches for the length of this hammock, I want to test it. One thing I don't want to forget to mention is that your ridge line should have some play in it. It shouldn't be super tight. You should be able to bend it with your fingers, kind of like this. This one's probably a little too tight. So what I want to do to fix that and give it a little bit less tension on it is lower one end of my straps and see how that works. Then I'm going to lay back in my hammock and test it out. So I've gone ahead and loosened some of that, and that's much better. I can bend this with my fingers a little bit better, and it's not gonna be super, super tight. These ridge lines can hold quite a bit, especially this one. It's made out of Amsteel, but you still don't want to have tons and tons of tension on your ridge line. And so being able to bend it a little bit is really good. Let's kick back and see how it feels. So that actually felt pretty good, except the hammock seemed a little constricted. And so I want to shorten my ridge line and pull in the ends of my hammock a little bit to give myself a little bit more width in the hammock so this can spread out a little bit more, and just give it a shot. So I'm going to go ahead and try that. That's also one thing that's really nice about an adjustable ridge line, is you can dial it in really perfectly. And then if you decide to get a fixed ridge line, you'll know exactly what length to set it at. So I've gone ahead and shortened this, and that's pulled in the ends of my hammock. So I need to adjust the straps a little bit, but before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and get in the hammock and see how well it is right now. So I tested the hammock. I wanted to lower the straps a little bit because the ridge line was really tight, and it's still got quite a bit of tension on it, but that's going to be fine. The hammock feels really good though. So I want to measure the ridge line one more time now that I shortened it, and just see what those dimensions are so that I can know for future use. I'm at 103 inches, so I took 2 inches off of it, 1.5 2 inches off of it, which isn't much, but that's about what I would look for next time in a 10.5 foot hammock. So that's how to dial in your ridge line if you have an adjustable ridge line. But what do you do if you have a fixed ridge line on your hammock? A lot of hammocks come with a fixed ridge line, and the manufacturer says to not remove it or it voids the warranty because it could cause it to tear. It's there for structural integrity. I actually use a Dutchware Chameleon hammock that is a fixed ridge line, and I had to adjust it a little bit to dial it in for my preferences. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that. So I went ahead and hung my Dutchware Chameleon hammock to show you the fixed ridge line and how to adjust a fixed ridge line to dial in the length that you want. This came at about 113 inches, but the correct length, 83% of this 11-foot hammock is about 109.5 to 110 inches. So I wanted to take off at least 3 inches from the ridge line and just see how well it did. And that's exactly what I did. So I went ahead and adjusted it, and it feels really nice. There are multiple ways to shorten a fixed ridge line. One way is to use a small carabiner and put the line through it, the ridge line through it, and then you would just wrap it around part of the carabiner until it gets to the length you want. It's probably the most adjustable way because then you can let out one loop and lengthen it or put another one on if you need to. And so that's one way that you could do it. The way that I've done it here, because I didn't have a small carabiner and I just wanted to try this, is I put a Alpine butterfly knot in the line here. This is removable. It's not as simple as the carabiner method, but this also gives me a loop in my line so that I can hang like a lamp or a headlamp or anything that I want to hang from it. Just had a deer come right by me right here, so I wanted to film it. It's kind of cool. It just came out of the trees about, I don't know, 30 feet from me. Anyways, yeah, just a way to shorten your fixed ridge line if you have one. If this video has helped you in any way to dial in your ridge line so that you can sleep better in your hammock the next time you go out into the backcountry, give it a like. And also leave a comment if you have any questions or anything, if you have any techniques that you use to dial in your hammock system that I haven't covered. And also don't forget to check out this video right here where I talk more about hanging your hammock and the #1 mistake that most hammock campers make when they're starting out in a hammock. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope to catch you on the next one. Stay safe out there.